I just can't. I can't, as a fan with good conscience, vote him as Defensive Player of the Year, because if I have to watch that man get turned to a marionette one more damn time on the perimeter, I'm gonna lose it. So
let me put you on game.
Let's talk NBA awards picks.
Yeah.
We have 2 of the awards have already been announced, with Jordan Clarkson winning Sixth Man of the Year and Julius Randle winning Most Improved Player. I have my thoughts about those picks, but how are you feeling about Sixth Man of the Year and Most Improved?
Sixth Man of the Year, I think it was interesting because I don't know if there's ever been a Sixth Man of the Year situation where you had teammates on the same team who could both potentially get the award. And so that was the case with the Jazz. It was Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson. I was looking, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And you realize, oh, Joe Ingles has been coming off the bench, which was something that is a new development, because before he was a pretty solid, consistent starter for the Jazz. Well, and although his production has been excellent, Jordan Clarkson is just really, he could have also gotten Most Improved, because he has been averaging 18.3 points a game off of 4 rebounds and 2.4 assists during the season coming off the bench, along with putting up 2 40 spots during the season, which is like, Sixth Man of the Year territory. When you can put up 40 against Philadelphia and the defense that they bring to the table, and then another 40 against Golden State, you prove that, hey, it's not a fluke, and that if he were to get starter minutes, he could probably be easily be a 20-point plus scorer in the league. So he's doing his thing. And he's working well within the realms of the offense, and he's a reason why the Jazz have had the best record in the league. He's a major part of why they've had the best record in the league, and is the number 1 seed in the West.
Winning certainly helps. Yeah, I think that that's the reason why they're both leading candidates. I think there's also an argument for Derrick Rose as well. The Knicks are 24-11 since at least during the regular season, since acquiring him, because this is a regular season award. But yeah, he's been a valuable part of their team. You can argue that even during the playoff series, like we discussed against the Hawks, he's been the most valuable player for the Knicks, and he's the reason why it's not 3-0. And
D Rose certainly could have he was in the conversation, but I guess when you look at youth and explosiveness and kind of 3-point shooting and the wow factor, Clarkson kind of gets the nod in that sense.
He's had a great season, like you said, 18 points a game for the best regular season team in the league. And coming off the bench, that's huge. It's because not only is he putting up big numbers, but he's not doing it for the Cavs. He's doing it for his points have consequence. They have meaning. Not that the Cavs players' points don't have meaning, but he's contributing to. His contributions are vital to winning basketball. So definitely, it makes sense. I think everyone on this list has that argument as well, though, because the Knicks have had a great season. So I don't think you can go wrong. I think Sixth Man of the Year is, it's an award where I don't think you can go wrong. I don't think anyone's going to be outraged if Derrick Rose wins Sixth Man of the Year and Jordan Clarkson doesn't.
I think people would have had a lot to say about that
in Utah. but I'm good with Julius Randle as Most Improved Player. I think lots of players have made a leap this year, but I think Julius Randle has been a big surprise, because I think they like to try to give Most Improved Players to guys that go from year 1 to year 2 or year 2 to year 3, and it's like they're supposed to improve. Of course, that makes sense. They're getting older in the league, and they're super young, and they're learning how to play NBA basketball. But Julius Randle has been in the league for a while, so his improvement I feel like it's on the back of his actual real work over the course of one off season. So that would have been my pick.
Yeah, and when you look at his stats from last year to this year, He went from 19.5 points a game to 24.1 points a game. He went from 27% three-point shooting to 41% three-point shooting. He went from 73% free throw to 81% free throw. His field goal percentages have stayed about the same. He increased his rebound output to now he's averaging a double-double and went from 3 assists a game to 6 assists a game. So like across the board, he has elevated his game just from a fundamental standpoint. And it's been a pleasure to watch. And it's the reason why the Knicks have earned the 4th seed. You want to see it in the playoffs, and there's still kind of an APB out for Randle, and he's not making the greatest case for getting that supermax extension in another 2 years. So it remains to be seen what he can do with the rest of his playoff time, and whether or not he's going to either continue to bet on himself by not taking a contract extension this year and, testing free agency in the year afterwards, or he's just going to take the guaranteed money from this point on. So I'm curious. But for these 2 awards, I feel like they got it right.
Yeah.
Who are some other guys that you thought developed really well this year and could have been in the running for most improved?
Lots of guys. It's kind of a homer pick, but I wanted to go Zach Levine. I think he wasn't an all-star last year, all-star this year. 27, 5 and 4 on 50, 40, 85. So historic level efficiency. They were playing close to winning basketball for the first half of the season, but I mean, he kind of got tanked by COVID protocol and by the Bulls just sucking. So, I mean, but that's the first guy that comes to mind. But there's been so many guys that have made a huge leap. So
yeah, Michael Porter Jr. has been in a run too.
But he's another guy that's like year 2 to year 3.
Yeah.
Like I think with guys like Randle or Levine, it's year 6, year 7, year 8 where they're making a jump, from one stratosphere to another. So that was why I would have thought about that. But yeah, I'm sure there's some guys that we're forgetting. But yeah. Screw it. coach of the year. I got Monty Williams.
Yeah.
I think that the Suns went from being a lottery team, picking 10th, to the second best team in the West. I think they've been very well coached. You could even see it in the bubble last year, going undefeated, even though they missed the play-in. I think he's just been great. The addition of Chris Paul can't be underrated, but I think Monty Williams has really gotten the Suns to compete and have them clicking on all cylinders. It's unfortunate, again, what happened to Chris Paul. We won't get to see that team in its full capacity against the Lakers. I think there's an argument for Quinn Snyder, obviously having that much success with the Jazz, and Tibbs, I think, would be my number 2 behind Monty. I think Tibbs has done a great job of completely changing the entire culture of the Knicks within one season,
which is incredible.
Yeah, but that's my pick, would be Monty, but Tibbs is close.
Yeah, I think that, to be honest, I feel like they have performed equally well with their respective franchises because of the way Monty has won, like you said, really just completely transformed that Phoenix team and created a dynamic culture and a winning culture. And the same thing has happened pretty much exact thing has happened with Tom Thibodeau. Both the Suns and the Knicks were atrocious franchises just 2 years ago. And just the level of relevance that they've gotten their respective franchises to in 1 year has really been astounding and is kind of remarkable. And it remains to be seen whether or not they're going to be able to continue the success. I think the Suns are definitely built for it because they have star power. The Knicks, I feel like we're kind of in a precarious situation because we have several guys who have had career years. And so you hope to see a continued level of development. Suns have more talent, so I think they will continue to compete, but it also remains to be seen whether or not they will retain Chris Paul and how much of an effect Chris Paul really had on making the Suns as dominant as they've been this year.
Yeah.
Versus the straight out, all the, no frills, all effort way that Tibbs has been able to get the Knicks roster to perform. So it'll be interesting to see going forward. But I got to give it to Monty Williams as well, because getting a 2 seed in the West is no easy task.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my pick as well.
Who do you have for Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year. So I'm a little controversial on this because I think it could be a tie, legitimately speaking. But if it's not a tie, I actually got Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
I think LaMelo has put up solid numbers. He's put up a very all-around stat line where you could see him getting close to a triple-double, averaging for his career. If he can improve his offensive efficiency and play just average defense, he could be a real star in the league, and a superstar at some point. But Anthony Edwards has shown a level of athleticism, of pop, of spectacularness that has been, I feel like, undersold in Minnesota. Like he jumps out of the gym. He's been dunking on people. He puts up numbers. Yeah, it's a very bad team, but 19 a game isn't easy, especially for rookies. And he's putting up 19 a game. Even if his shooting is inefficient, he's still a focal point of an offense with Karl Anthony Towns. And I think there's something to be said about that. So I kind of and he's played the whole season. I think he has better defensive upside and has shown better defense throughout the year than LaMelo Ball. So I that's why I actually have, Anthony Edwards as, my Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah.
First disagreement. Let's get it popping. I think it's LaMelo, and I don't think it's close.
Okay.
At all, to be honest. I like Anthony Edwards. I think that he has a very bright career going forward. But just looking at the numbers, I think he is playing for a bad team. And I don't think that matters in Rookie of the Year, because most rookies that are in contention for the Rookie of the Year are playing on bad teams, because that's just the way the lottery works. But I think that Anthony Edwards has just kind of been given he's been given no leash, essentially. He has no leash. He's able to take as many shots as he wants, whenever he wants. So it's like, it's a lot easier for him to put up those statistics and for him to be inefficient, because I think lots of rookies are inefficient. I think his efficiency will improve going forward. I think he is going to be a really good NBA player. But just looking at their numbers over the season, I think that LaMelo has been a better player overall. I think he's contributed to winning basketball more than Anthony Edwards has. I think even Tyrese Halliburton has contributed more to winning basketball than Anthony Edwards has. So I was just looking at the advanced numbers, and LaMelo is better in every notable statistical category in terms of the advanced numbers. He's better in offensive win shares. If you look at win shares, LaMelo 2.8, Anthony Edwards 0.8, win shares per 48. 0.093 for LaMelo, 0.017 for Anthony Edwards. Offensive box plus minus, 1.2 for LaMelo, negative 0.9 for Anthony Edwards. Defensive box plus minus, since we're talking about defense, I think that LaMelo's actually been underrated. I think he's gotten a lot of deflections this year. He's competed. He still has lots of bad moments, but that's expected for a rookie. But he's 0.6 compared to negative 1.7 for Anthony Edwards. Box plus minus 2 for LaMelo, negative 2.6 for Anthony Edwards, and VORP 1.4 for LaMelo, and negative 0.3 for Anthony Edwards. So he's literally better in every advanced statistical category. Granted, numbers can be noisy, and some of these are skewed by the fact that LaMelo plays for a better team. Yeah. But I think it's kind of a mixed bag, because I do think that LaMelo, the reason that the Hornets are so good is partially because of LaMelo. You're getting good contributions from guys like Terry Rozier, and earlier in the season, Gordon Hayward, before he went down. But I think LaMelo has been a vital part of their winning or winning this season.
Yeah.
But
and just to a side note on that, LaMelo has also missed 21 games, and that's kind of why I had Edwards up there, because in the second half of the season, Edwards picked up his efficiency numbers, especially shooting. But everything you said about LaMelo is true.
Yeah. That's the reason why it's a race. That's the reason why it's been a discussion, because of the wrist injury. But I'm just saying, I don't think he's missed enough games for me to just like say he's done. Like he's not like Joel Embiid, like where Joel Embiid in his rookie year, quote unquote, he missed a ton of games, even though he was spectacular down the stretch. But LaMelo's played most of the season.
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards has played all of the season pretty much. But I think that just in the games that they've played, taking out the missed games, I think that LaMelo's been far and away the better player, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
Who do you have for a defensive player of the year?
The everlasting gobstopper, the Stifle Tower, Rudy Gobert. I mean, I think he's clearly the best defensive player in the league, but I think guys like Ben Simmons, who can guard 1 through 4 and 5s in some cases, are definitely underrated defensively and should be in the conversation. Along with, a Draymond Green, who has lost a lot of his athletic pop, but still is an anchor for that Golden State team on the defensive end. Like Draymond defensively does what Curry does offensively. He is to Golden State what Curry is on offense. So it's he does that for the defense. So I like that the three of them are in the running, but I think that Gobert, he's allowed you like to give these awards to the top teams in the league, and Gobert has made the Jazz a top team in the league for the last couple of years, and it has showed with them being the number 1 seed. So
yeah, I got Ben Simmons.
Okay.
You're looking at the statistics. Defensive statistics are so hard to measure. You always have to take all of them with a grain of salt. But Rudy Gobert leads those far and away over any other player in the league. It's partially because he's a rim protector. Mm-hmm. So defensive statistics typically favor rim protectors as opposed to measuring defense for perimeter players. Because it's so much harder right now to defend on the perimeter than it is the interior because of how basketball is played right now. And I think, like you said, Draymond is definitely in the running as well. I think in the Lakers game, there was some crazy stat where it said that he was somewhere in the top 10 for most contested shots in a game over like the last 25 years. Wow. During that Laker playing game, just because of how active he was. I think he contested, I want to say 24 shots, but it was crazy the amount of contesting that he did that game. I'm probably wrong on the 24, but that stat is true. The fact that he actually contested some of the most shots over the course of the game. But yeah, he's been incredibly defensively active. His playmaking's been valuable, but I think you have an argument for all three. The reason that I picked Ben Simmons is because I think that he is the most defensively versatile. I think that you don't have to worry. He's not as good at defending 5s as Gobert, but I don't think you have to worry about him defending 5s. Yeah. And he's done a great job on wings, and he's done a great job on point guards as well. So I think that he's the ideal defender for the way that the game is played today. Because I think that Rudy Gobert is great against driving players. He's great against other big men for the most part. But you put him on a guard, and it's no fault of his own because of how big he is, but it's trouble. So it's like, I just can't, as a fan with good conscience, vote him as defensive player of the year, because if I have to watch that man get turned to a marionette one more damn time on the perimeter, I'm going to lose it. So it's like, it's just tough to watch and to know that teams are purposefully putting him into pick and rolls just because they know he has trouble defending them. So it's like, it's tough to name somebody defensive player of the year when that kind of stuff happens. So for me, it was Ben Simmons. But
Ben Simmons was in the conversation based on the handcuffs that he put on Dame during that game during the regular season. Yeah, like that was a crazy defensive effort that he showed there, and he kind of does that night in and night out, and he has license to, because the offense doesn't flow through him, so he can definitely lock in on the defensive end. So, but yeah, I still got Gobert, but I respect that pick in Ben Simmons. He's right up there.
Yeah, I think his defense is so subjective. It's one of the more like wishy-washy awards as far as how many different players you can pick, but
yeah,
it's not as for me, it's not anywhere near as concrete as who the MVP is this year. So
concrete.
I think it's I think okay, well, all right. We discussed MVP earlier in the season, and you had Joel Embiid, and I had Jokic, but I just looking at the numbers, looking at the eye test. I don't think there's any reason why anyone else would be MVP. But I mean, you go first. I'll tell you why I think afterwards that Jokic is the MVP unquestionably. But you go ahead and you tell me why there's a reason for anyone else, or why Jokic is just kind of sort of MVP. Go.
Okay, so I think Joel Embiid this season has really performed. He's had a level of dominance against other big men in one-on-one matchups this year, and no one has really been able to stop him. I think the only thing that hurts Joel is the fact that he's been absent in a certain amount of games.
Yeah.
And the Sixers aren't the top seed in the league as well. And so you have also a loaded Sixers roster that plays really competitive and is well coached by Doc Rivers. So that kind of hurts Joel Embiid. And I think that one more season of dominance, like he's doing right now, and if the Sixers are able to make a really deep playoff run this year, next year he'll be within the top 5, top 3 conversation for league MVP again. But those red flags kind of make him maybe my number 2 pick. Curry, I think, is a number 1/2 pick, but health and him not being as great during the beginning of the season as he was during the end of the season kind of hurts him. And the fact that what's really fascinating about watching Curry is how he's still able to get shots off somehow, despite being double teamed at half court, and pushed off the line. But there's also a part of the way he can sometimes be physically manhandled that makes it hard to want to give him an MVP award, because and it's not really his fault. It's the fault of the team that's around him that doesn't have enough offensive threats that it's okay to really double him. And it makes it so that in certain situations, the ball is put out of his hands and he can't be as spectacular as you want him to be. And so that's kind of why I feel like the Joker probably ends up edging both of these guys out. He joins the likes of Dirk Nowitzki as being an international player that gets MVP, and a big man that is kind of slow and lumbering down the court, but at the same time does so many things with the ball and is just a wizard and can't really be guarded. So I say all that to say that I've come around, and I think Joker is the guy. But it's because of the season that we've had and the fact that no one else has been able to be as consistently great as he has been all season and all year long.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I think that with the level of talent in the league, there's so many different players that you can argue are the most valuable to their teams. And I think that Joel Embiid has been dominant this year in the post, especially. He's been great, and he's a two-way player. I think that Steph has been incredible. It's just that his team hasn't necessarily had the success that necessitates being a winner of the MVP award. But offensively, he's had the best season since his last MVP season. Yeah. So he's been great. But I think people have been looking for narratives because for whatever reason they don't seem to like Jokic as MVP. So they just seem to just be looking in as many different directions as possible. Just like someone else, please. Like it's just not him. But it's like the numbers are undeniable. Okay.
Yeah.
Outside of the numbers, before I get to those, just watching him play basketball, he's been one of the best shooters and passers and scorers in the league this year. He's in, I'm pretty sure, the 99th percentile for all of those categories. So he's doing some of the most important offensive work and being the most efficient and the best at it in the league. So he's one of the best. We talked about it earlier, but he's one of the best passers ever, not just one of the best big man passers. And without him, the Nuggets essentially don't function.
Yeah.
Their entire offense is revolved around what he does. But looking at the advanced statistics, he's the leader this year in player efficiency rating, which is PER, win shares per 48 minutes, actual win shares, offensive win shares, box plus minus, offensive box plus minus, and VORP. And his PER this season is the 10th best PER ever. So above him, you'll see a couple players. You'll see Steph Curry during his MVP season. You'll see Michael Jordan. You'll see LeBron, and you'll see Wilt Chamberlain. That's the class of player that he's in as far as his performance this season. So if PER is a noisy metric, it's not perfect. No, none of these metrics are. But when you kind of put them together and notice that he's number one in each and every single one of these categories, and I still think he ranks top 10 in defensive win shares, but whatever. So it's like, it's just hard to leave him out of the MVP conversation. Or not leave him out. It's hard to cast doubt upon his MVP validity. But I just think that, especially when I saw that he was top 10 PER of all time, I was like, what's the argument? There just isn't one for me.
Yeah, I mean, hey, bro, I got you. I get it. And there's not much to argue as far as those numbers and those metrics are concerned. And I think if people are honest and they take the bias out of it, because you want to see a more flashy player a lot of times win MVP, and Jokic isn't the flashiest, but when you watch his game and you watch his passes, you start to realize how special he is. And the eye test watching his games will kind of indicate that. So yeah, I think he deserves it. I think this year is the year for a guy like him. And if anyone else gets it, I think it's a disservice to what he's been able to accomplish this year. So yeah. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But those are our NBA award picks. Let us know in the comments or shoot us an email about what your NBA awards picks are.